Whew, all right. How do we get in this situation? Let's dig into it. I'm going to be looking at old pictures on my phone. They'll be the same ones that are going to be up here on the screen. So just so everyone's following along. Pour yourself a drink. Make it as strong as you need. Let's dig into how we got into this situation with my Jeep. All right, we're going to go back about 10 years. I'm going to give you some history about this channel, or about me and this channel. So, let's do it. All right, 10 years ago, my wife and I bought this house. Summer, June-ish 2014. And when we moved in, I had the sweetest car I've ever had that I should never have sold, and this is 280Z. Right? It wasn't super fast, but it sounded cool. It wasn't super reliable, but it turned heads, and I absolutely loved it. This thing was sweet. I bought it from a dude up in Tulsa, and drove it back, no problems. Owned it for a couple years. At this point in time, we had 3 kids, 3 kids under the age of 5. We had a 5, 2, and 1-year-old. And I was working construction at the time, or I was selling real estate at the time, actually. And let's just say it wasn't in the budget, and having a fun sports car that wasn't the most reliable, that we all couldn't fit in, just didn't work. So unfortunately, I sold it. Some cash burned a hole in my pocket. So what do? I go buy me a Jeep. First one I bought was an old CJ. It didn't really work. I thought it was going to be cool. Thought it was going to be nice, but it was an 80 model CJ7. It was pretty rough looking back on it, and anyways, I sold that after a couple months because it was just terrible, and didn't have enough seats. But it does have enough seats for a family of 5. That's right, a Cherokee. This picture right here, oh my gosh, brings back some memories. That's what it looked like when I bought it. So when I bought it, it had 8.5 inches of lift, Rusty's long arm on stock axles. That's right, Dana 35 with some 37s, and a Dana or a Chrysler 8 1/4 or whatever it is in the back. It was not good. But that's how I got it. Snorkel, JCR roof rack, custom front and rear bumper, internal cage, and everything. And this is how it looks now. We're making progress. So what happened? Well, I took it out wheeling one time and blew up the front axle. Just imploded it. Real bad. Especially, it was after getting it geared. I put some 411s in it. No, I put 456s in it. And crazy story, the dude who put the gears in, actually spun out, got in a motorcycle gang, and is serving a life sentence for murder right now. So, I guess he's awaiting trial, but he did it. They've got video. After that craziness, I found these set of 1-tons from a buddy. I think my buddy Andrew sold them to me, and I was like, sweet, let's do a 1-ton swap. Yeah, that was famous last words. So this Jeep was last tagged in 2016. I started with a construction company in 2014, right after we bought this house, and I was doing commercial construction work, and I'd been there a couple years, felt pretty steady in it. So 2016 rolls around, blow up the front of my Jeep, and I'm like, hey, I'm making okay money. I felt like we were making okay money at the time. I really wasn't. Working construction, not working a ton of hours. I mean, I was working 45, 50 hours a week. Felt like I had plenty of time and money, and so I tore into the Jeep, right? Sold the axles, sold the lift kit, sold the spring, sold as much stuff off of it as I could to raise money to pay for the. I was like, oh man, $2,000 or $3,000, we can get a 1-ton swap done for that. Wrong. All right. So I started working on it, doing some frame stiffeners. I got these from Rough Stuff. One of my philosophies is you never go wrong buying tools, right? Never go wrong buying tools. So I bought a tubing bender, bent up a couple front hoops, got those installed, and then in 2016, something pretty cool happened. Graduated college, finished my degree from UCO, go Bronchos, and my wife and dad surprised me with a brand new Jeep. It was awesome. Awesome. 2016 Wrangler. That thing was pretty cool. Um, Wish they would have gotten a Rubicon, but that's neither here nor there. Whatever. I might still have it if it was a Rubicon. But TLDR, it gets sold eventually. Yeah, so 2016. I've got the Jeep blown up in the garage over that summer. Start selling parts of it because I know I'm going to do a 1-ton swap. And, just like any other project car, what really helps it move along the progress of that? Buying more project cars. So what do I find? I find a red 2-wheel drive Jeep at about an hour away from me. Says the motor's locked up. I pay $300 for it. It's super clean, but the motor is locked up. So I buy that, bring it home. It sits for a while. And then I get a call from my dad one day, and he says, hey, I had a friend that just died. He left me this Mercedes in a storage unit. Do you want it? He said it doesn't run, but there's title. You can go get the title. So I Title 42'd it. It was a gray market car, so it was imported from Europe, I think. It was left-hand drive, but it was a Mercedes that was never imported. Crazy story. I sold it to a guy on Craigslist. Sent me a cashier's check, and I never talked to him on the phone. It was all through email, but I got a cashier's check, and a shipping company showed up to get the car. Anyways, so that's cool. So I've got some cash at this point. So what do? Do I fix my Jeep? Absolutely not. I sort of invade my dad's shop. So he's got my dad lives on some land. He's got a couple shops, and this is one he wasn't using at the time. And so I've got an old 280Z shell, right? Remember, I love 280s. That was how we started this video. And so I'm like, hey, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a project car at my house, and then I'm going to have some other project cars at a shop 30 minutes from my house. I'm not paying anything for it, so that'll be perfect, right? I can absolutely divide my time between 2 different shops, work, and my family. It'll be perfect. No, it was not perfect. It never happened. Things went out there to die and disappear. We did take the new Jeep out quite a bit. We rock crawled it a lot while this one was blown up and being fixed, quote unquote. Ended up buying a Comanche. That thing was super handy. I wish I still had it. It was a little 4-cylinder. Right, I said I got that from my buddy Jared, he'll come back into the story here in a little bit. Moving down, I ended up hauling the red Jeep from my house out there to the shop, to my dad's shop. Yanked the motor out, using the Comanche as a work truck. End up, the lady from not elderly, she's elderly now, but at the time, older lady from church got T-boned, and she did not have insurance on her car. So I actually gave her this red Jeep. A buddy of mine who's an engineer, we rebuilt the motor, slapped it in. She drove it for about 4 years like that. And then I ended up getting it back. Also, end up getting way more into woodworking about this time, and so I decided to turn my garage here at the house into basically all woodworking. Not doing a lot of wrenching except in the driveway for stuff I need, oil changes, brakes, stuff like that I can do in my driveway. My driveway is super flat. It's awesome. But I'm like, hey, well, I've got this shop out of my dad's. I'm going to haul the Jeep out there. I end up adding more project cars, right? So I bought this 1980 Datsun 210. I actually bought this one and another one. They were both about an hour away from my house. I paid $300 for both of them. One of them, I think I can get the title. I think I've got the title for one of them. One of them got scrapped. I kept this coupe. The fastback one was absolutely roached. It was so bad. I don't even know if I have pictures of that one in here. But keep scrolling. I've got about 3 different car projects all going at once and not making progress on any of them. I don't know which parts to buy. I don't know which one to actually work on. Some of it was a lot of it was fabrication, and didn't know what to do. So, what do? You buy another car project. This picture right here is from the first time I saw this Lotus that I ended up buying. I thought it was a kit car. I thought it was a VW kit car, but after talking to the guy, he bought it it's a 72 model. He bought it in the early 80s with a blown up motor, and it's an absolute basket case right now. Really working hard at my dad's shop. Whenever I go out there, I've got taking my toolbox. My toolbox is out there. Toolbox is out there. Got different car projects going on. It's out in the middle of the woods. Don't have to worry about making noise. There's power, but because it's not air conditioned, that means when it was cold, it was flipping cold, and when it was summertime, it was brutally hot. And it's 30 minutes each way from my house. So after a few months of that, all that stuff gets backburnered. We're in like 2017, 2018 at this point, and the construction company I'd been working for screwed me over pretty hard. Got lied to a bunch about promotions. Get off there, fly. Lied to about some promotions, so I quit on the spot. If you're being lied to from your job, consider quitting and doing something else for yourself. But that's a whole nother topic. And my buddy Jared that I bought that Comanche from offered me a job in his welding shop, welding / off-road Jeep building. I had had a Jeep for a while, but to be honest, I wasn't at the time a super great fabricator. Some would say I'm still not. I would say that. Average at best. Shout out to the filthy casuals out there. But I was willing to learn, willing to work hard. So I worked for him for about a year. We built all sorts of cool projects. He got a plasma table. He's an awesome badass welder. So worked for him for a year. Realized I had no idea what I was doing on this thing. This thing was absolutely all blown apart. I was trying to build suspension for it without knowing anything about this stuff called geometry. So yeah, that was not working well. And he did teach me a lot of stuff and helped me out a lot. During this year, summer of 2018 to middle of 2019 when I worked for him, I didn't do anything on my Jeep. It was 100% cobblers kids that don't have shoes. The old story of the person who's doing it full time not having the time or money or motivation to do it for their own Jeep. So 2019 rolls around, and I'm not really working on any of my cars at this point. Working a lot in the shop. Kids are growing up, doing kid stuff, and anyways, January 1st, one of those years, on a 2020, I think, I bought this Lotus shelf. The guy was moving, needed to sell it, so I went out and bought it. And it still looks about like that right now. So, yeah. But I'd end up buying a little scissor lift from another buddy he worked for a company who pulled stuff out of other shops, so that got pulled out of a discount tire. That's actually what the Jeep is on right now, is this lift. Installed it out of my dad's for a while I tried to figure out what to do with it. Anyways, and at this time, I've still got my new Jeep. It is my daily driver. Trying not to tear it up too much, but putting tools in and out of the back, putting materials in the back. Really need a truck, so I'm on the hunt for looking for a truck. And what do I find? Another Jeep, another Cherokee. They say Facebook Marketplace ad says like $300. Doesn't run. I drive like an hour and a half down there, grab it. Called in sick to work that day. The bolts of the torque converter had come loose, and that thing was barely hanging on there. So it absolutely destroyed the front pump seal, but I put a new one of those on, painted that fender, and back on the market it went. But like I said, during this time we're still wheeling. Here's some shots of me wheeling, some buddies. I take that white Jeep, trade to some friends for a half-ton Chevy that is absolutely wiped out. 343,000 miles on that one. Turn around and trade that for a Miata. That's right. It was that was actually a pretty cool car. I wish I still had that. But again, two-door sports car did not work for my family. Kids are even older at this time. They're actually wanting to go do stuff. So Miata. I drove it for, I don't know, probably less than a year. Okay, 2019. I got that Lotus in 2019. January 1st, 2019. So I've had that for 5 years. Yikes. Third week of August, 2019, I traded for that Miata. So Miata was cool. It was actually pretty cool because I had a little two-door sports car to drive back and forth to work. And I still had the Jeep that I drove also back and forth to work and wheeled. Yeah, I had my garage cleaned out enough to fit the Miata in. You know, Jeep, this Jeep, the Datsun I've got, the Lotus body, all that stuff was still out of my dad's, and I had the four-door Jeep, and you know, I was thinking that everything was going to be cool. That was, you know, beginning of 2020. Well, by the middle of 2020, we knew what was going on. So August, so I had that Jeep, I had that Miata about a year. August, I ended up selling it. And I was like, okay, garage is cleaned out. So I say, so I've got cash in hand. So I'm like, let's bring the teal Jeep home and finish working on it. It's been sitting for a few years. I'm sure it'll be fine. Nope. Lady that we rebuilt the red Jeep for from earlier in the video, right? She calls and says, hey, came into some money. I'm buying a new car. So do you want this Jeep back? And I said, yes. So I bought it back from her for super cheap and brought it home. Right? And I had the garage cleaned out. And I'm like, sweet. All right. I've got a running Cherokee. Let's finally go get the Jeep from my dad's barn. So I got there, go snatch that thing up September of 2020. That's when I brought it home. So it's been sitting here for 4 years, if you're counting. I do a little bit of work on it, off and on, but right, this is COVID times. Things are crazy. I've changed jobs again at this point. I left the Jeep shop at the end of 2019 or 2018, end of 2018. So I've been at my job about 2 years at this point, year and a half, whatever. And COVID hits, and we are what is called essential employees. That means we did not get any time off, and we got work 60 to 70 hours a week, and it was not good. I'm working like crazy at this point, and you know, buying some parts here and there, but not really working on the Jeep. Fast forward, let me find it. Oh, here's a funny one. February 21, mall crawler status, absolutely. One of the best things I did during the COVID times. This is March of 2021. I widened my driveway, right? You guys have seen shots of that. If not, here's one right there, and built a new fence. So that's been there about 3 years, and it has been awesome. It has been so nice. Nothing grew over there anyway, so it was just a mud hole, and being able to actually park another vehicle there has really freed up space in the driveway. It's very handy, very handy. So April of 2021, here we go. Doing a little project. Need to get some sort of motivation on the Jeep. So I put on the side rear quarter armor, right? When I worked at the shop, my buddy Jared cut that out for me on his Plasma. It was actually a mock-up piece. It was actually a prototype. So I got those. Instead of, I sold my other truck, didn't have a truck at the time, and I knew I was changing jobs. Knew I was going to be changing jobs from where I was at, and we were in the process of buying some land from some family. That did not work out. Go figure, right? So we were buying some acreage. So I bought this dually that I've still got. I finally fixed the truck. If you check out my last video I put out, I finally replaced the clutch. Finally figured out why I was shaking so bad. It was the clutch was exploded. So yeah, go watch that last video. It was pretty neat. I'll link it somewhere. Paid $4,000 for this truck. I thought it was an absolute steal until I had to start buying parts for it. But that's too close to home right now. Also during this time, changed jobs. Oh yeah, here's an important one. End of July 2021, my wife was in a wreck and got T-boned, broke her arm. So I had to help out a lot extra around the house. Something I'm not always the greatest at, right? Some honesty, right? And so most of the rest of this year didn't work on much. Wife was recovering from a broken arm, and me and the kids would go do stuff. And October of 21, so right at 3 years ago, I sold my 4-door. When I changed jobs, I got a company car. So I looked up and I realized, hey, I've got a truck. I've got a Jeep I want to finish. I don't have to have a reliable transportation. My wife does. We bought her a nice Suburban. But I don't have to because I've got a company car. So I sold the most reliable thing I owned. Made sense. Still makes sense, I think. And had a bunch of money because it was paid for. So I got cash for that. So you're thinking, obviously, I spent a bunch of that money to fix the Jeep. You'd be wrong again. But one thing I did do is I did some testing. Right? Because last couple times I had this out, had the Jeep out, it ran really hot. Thought it had a blown head gasket. Did a compression test. The compression test came back negative on 2 cylinders. There was no compression. So, rebuild time. Yeah, so November of 21, one of my best friends comes down from out of town, helps me pull the motor, we rebuild it, driveway rebuild. You know what's up. And slam it back in. Apparently we got the timing out, so yeah, I'm fixing that right now. But fast forward, house deal falls apart with a family member. I mentioned that. And well, things happen. Found out we're having another baby. 2022 was not much happened. Pregnant wife, kid stuff, new job. Not much happened. We just kind of hung out. And then, January of last year, my little baby was born. So 4th kid. And, for the first year or so, nothing really happened. We didn't really work on stuff. Did some stuff around the house. But really, I was just enjoying being a new dad again, which is super fun. Love it to death. And then, beginning of this year, beginning of 2024, I said, I've got a stable job. I don't hardly work any overtime. Kids are fairly self-sufficient except for the baby. I want to get my Jeep running. So, started a YouTube channel beginning of this year, and I appreciate everyone who watches. It means so much to me. Honestly, I watch a lot of YouTube myself, and it's hard to always, stay consistent to a creator, and it's a challenge making these. It's a challenge making these videos sometimes with a full-time job and family and stuff. So, I do appreciate you all very much for watching, and I knew that I wanted to finish this Jeep. So that's basically where we're at. This fall, I'm going to be doing a whole series on getting this Jeep back running and driving and ready to go back 4-wheeling next year, hopefully, begin next year. There's a couple fun events I want to make it to. And I think it'll be fun for you guys too. So just stay tuned. But that's basically where we're at. I'm fixing some timing issues. Got to put, I want to hear it run. Hopefully that'll be next week's video. I want to hear it run before I start fabricating, because if I have to yank this motor out again and rebuild something, we might just go crazy with it. Put something else in. But if we do, you'll see that on the channel. So I appreciate you guys for watching. Like I said, best way to support the channel is to like and comment and stuff, share it. I really enjoyed the comments, really enjoyed the comment section, so thank you. But do what you always do, everybody. Go out there, take care of one another. And I will see you next week, where we are going to be working on this Jeep, making a run, and hopefully not blowing stuff up too much, because unlike most of the YouTubers you watch, I can't afford to do any of this for real. So, you know, thanks again, and I will see you next week. Bye.